Welcome, friends, to the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour with your hosts, Sig Bisley and Colt Mauser. Before we get started, please be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content just like this. Now, let the animation appreciation commence.
All right, we never got around to finishing Dragon's Blood Season 2, so we're going to skip on to the next thing.
We'll get back to Dragon's Blood, little Dota, next week.
Man, there's other stuff to do.
Unless we get stupid again.
Nah, we'll do it this time. I swear. I promise. I make a solemn oath.
Yeah, it did just come out, so, you know.
Anyway, instead of that, we're going to get into the new episodes this week. Then after that, the fourth and possibly final Adventure Time movie that HBO Max came out a while back. So we got into watch that. So we'll get into that a little bit. And then for your viewing displeasure, we have MD Geist, Death Force, which could have been a masterpiece, but wasn't really animated.
Yeah.
It was animated like a Ralph Bakshi movie.
We'll get into that.
Well, before we do any of that.
Yeah, I'm also going to have a little aside. We'll talk
We'll do a little
just
aside.
a skosh of talking about Reacher. And
When something is that good, you got to talk about it.
which is the reason why we didn't get to Dota, because it needed to be a marathon.
Dominated my life. My dad already finished it, which is funny.
Damn straight.
It beasted that shit.
Anyway.
The news.
The news. All right. So we're going to get to this news. So first up here, there's some new RPG Maker software coming out. Like
That sounds
RPG
fun.
Maker as in not just generic software to make RPGs, although that's what it is, but the RPG Maker that's been around for forever.
Yeah, the OG.
Using the Unity engine. So that's coming out here in the nearest future. It's sometime this year. Looks pretty cool. I don't know. RPG Maker's always been kind of an interesting thing. It's one of those things, when it first came out, I was like, God, this would be fun to just create a game. But
Yeah, just make maps and shit.
as you get older, you're like, man, I got time for this. It's so much work.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, I mean, there's been I can't name off the top of my head, but people have made some money off of games. They've done an RPG Maker over the years for sure. So, something to check out. Pretty cool. Especially if you get that creative itch you want to scratch.
Yeah, I imagine it'd be fun. If I was
Write some shorts.
unemployed but still had enough money to live somehow.
Write some short stories. Do some RPG Maker to go with it. Get some sweet, sweet cash. A tiny amount. I don't know. Figure it out.
I don't think you make too much money off those, but
It's more for fun. All right. So in the least surprising news in a while, and I know I say that a lot, but this is
it's at least one or
surprising
two
news.
every week.
Yeah. Capcom has announced Street Fighter 6. Shocking. Now,
I'm down for new Street Fighter.
yeah, back in the day, this might have been shocking because Street Fighter was just like, let's release 8 million versions of Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter 3, and there's Alpha and Alpha whatever and all that stuff. But
Alpha Omega Extreme.
they've apparently given up that model. Now let's hope it's a less subscription-based model, but it won't be.
Everything's like that now.
So annoying.
So rapey.
But anyway.
Just want that. They want that booty.
So an additional Capcom news. They're also going to release a fighting game collection on all your favorite platforms. PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC. I'm sure that means you can get them on PS5 and Xbox
Probably, yeah.
Series, whatever as well. It's got Darkstalkers like you wouldn't believe. You got some Vampire Savior. You got stuff I've never heard of. Cyberbots. It's got Hyper Street Fighter 2 because, of course, there's got to be one in there.
Damn right.
Super Gem Fighter.
Gem Fighter.
It's got Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. I might buy it just for that. Super Puzzle Fighter is awesome.
It's the best.
It's the best. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. As long as they don't charge too much money for it, I don't see why you wouldn't buy it. I'm going to guess it's going to be $20-ish. That's usually what they charge for these kind of things. But that is coming out here
That's a
in June.
bargain.
So, yeah.
I'm into it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan of all those. Well, I'm a fan of the style of all those classic games. I've never got that deep into fighting games.
Nah.
But
Fighting games are for getting drunk and starting arguments.
Yeah.
Stop
It happens
mashing
a lot.
those buttons.
One of those things, man. I never put in the time to actually get good at it. And the problem is, if you put in the time to actually get good at it. You need people around that also put in the time to actually get good at it. Otherwise, it's no fun.
Yeah, it's like everybody's a scrub or everybody's a pro. You can't have it in the middle, or you just crush everybody and it's lame.
This isn't living at college days.
We have nothing to do but that.
Nothing to do, and you got people around. Like, it's just not the same thing. All right. Moving on from Capcom news. So, Sentai has acquired the rights to Obsolete, that 3D CG anime. So, we were talking about 3D stuff a couple weeks ago, talking about Appleseed and all that stuff. I don't know if it's any good. I've never actually watched it.
Yeah, me neither.
But the designs look cool. I mean, it reminds me of Gasaraki in its designs a bit.
Oh, it's kind of cool.
I don't even know too much about the story, but Ura Butcher's involved, so maybe it's great. Maybe
it'll
it's
probably
not.
be really cool and end terribly.
That's usually what he does.
That's his game.
But yeah, it's got those 10-meter-ish Patlabor size, Gasaraki sized, Full Metal Panic sized.
Yeah,
giant robots.
Sign me up.
Looks pretty neat. I'm into it. So yeah, I'm into checking it out. Hopefully once Sentai releases it, it'll get some sort of, better streaming release that isn't YouTube related, or I don't know if I just buy it right away. That'd be very old school. Maybe I will. Who knows?
Buying them DVDs back in the day.
But if you're interested in it, check it out because it's going to be out here at some point soon because they just licensed it. All right, moving on to another bit of gaming news. Here's something that you either won't be able to get, or if you can get it, you can't get the console that goes with it. The PlayStation VR 2. They've just debuted like the look of it, the look of the controls. They're weird roundish hand controllers.
I'm out.
And the headpiece.
I'm too old for that shit.
I want a VR setup some point. Probably not the PlayStation one, just because I'll never get a PS5. Not that I'm really looking for one, but you know what I mean. I'll probably just do a computer one at some point. But you need room. You need room, so you're not just banging into your table and banging into everything else.
I feel like if first-person shooters make me nauseous, then
I don't know. Would they
definitely make me nauseous,
or would they not anymore? Because now you have your full field of vision.
Yeah, maybe.
Because to me, the problem with the first-person shooter was always it's like the reading in a car, the reverse of a reading in the car problem, where reading in a car, you're focused on one thing that's not moving, and then there's peripheral vision movement, which makes you sick. First-person shooter is the opposite. Peripheral vision isn't moving. Your field of vision, regular field of vision, is moving.
I don't know.
I just wonder. I'd be curious.
One way to find it.
I've heard some people have. There's varying results.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, even the first-person shooters have gotten a hell of a lot better. The old school ones.
Well,
are
yeah.
very
I'm talking about like
vomit-inducing.
GoldenEye and shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
A lot of polygons. So anyway, this is coming out. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to release. I'm assuming if they're already showing hardware pics, it's probably going to be this year.
I assume so.
Of course, you got to have a PS5 to use it. Headset does 4K HDR, which is pretty cool. The displays are 2000 by 240 a pop and 120 hertz per eye. So that's, it's pretty good. 110 degree field of vision is decent, but not
whatever.
Not actually a human field of vision. So, we're getting there. One of these days. Once they have that and all the, I don't know, it's the gap bridge to robo waifus, I suppose.
Yep.
Or robo husbandos, we're not going to discriminate around here.
They're
or some unholy combination thereof. Or centaurs, whatever crap you're into. Because, hey, when it's robots,
I don't know if I want to pay for a robot centaur. Thank you very much.
Well, you'd have to want one to begin with. So you implying you want one, but you're not sure you wouldn't pay for it?
I'm just thinking about cost. It's a cost-benefit analysis.
We're not going to discuss the benefits.
Listen, a small girl robot, I'm sure it'll be expensive, but, that's your baseline. A fucking centaur, there's a lot of extra parts. Just saying.
Yeah, like 100-pound, 125-pound, freaking proximity? What's the word I'm looking for there? Proxy for like a 18 to 24-year-old girl is going to be a hell of a lot smaller and less mechanically complicated than a giant centaur. Yeah, you're probably right. But who knows? Let's not contemplate this anymore.
It depends on what you want that centaur to do. Just saying.
The one... never mind. I mean, I'm going to use it freaking Jeeg style.
I'm going to ride it.
I'm going to be Never mind. I need a detachable torso, and then I can use a Jeek style. All right.
Oh, no, you're talking. I just have to become a cyborg, and everything will be fine.
I got some more very unsurprising news. So, Bandai has reported that, shockingly, Gunpla sales are up.
No.
And they're up over the pandemic.
No. It's like fucking like GW, like making record profits because people are fanatically painting like minis.
No shit. Like, yes, hobbies that involve you staying at home went up. No shit. So, yeah.
Except the problem was everybody thought they were going to like get an army painted or something, like so they could play in like a couple months, and then it was like 2 years.
Yeah, so they got like more armies painted, or they just gave up. I have not bought any Gunpla in a long time. I'm very curious because
I stopped buying it because I have shelves and shelves and literally shelves of boxes that I haven't even opened.
Once I got into Warhammer, it's hard for me to like justify the time when I could build tiny stuff, paint it, and use it in a game.
Yeah. I have some really, really, really cool kits too.
And don't get me wrong,
I'll put together someday.
I have a lot of appreciation for Gundam model building and I've built plenty in the past, but that high level stuff is really nice and it looks really good. But that just I never did it for the art piece. I don't know, just one of those things. Anyway, my point is, I'd love to buy a newer one just to see because watching just some videos on people doing like the new perfect. The perfect grade Gundam, whatever that new perfect grade RX-782 was.
Yeah.
That was like, they've gotten out of control with like their molding and stuff. They're ridiculous. Like parts molded together that move once you pull them off the sprue.
Oh,
like
wow.
Stuff that just
I really want to
crazy.
I just want to buy one to check it out.
Oh yeah. I have the money
because all my stuff is like old. Like early to mid 2000s.
Yeah.
And it was really good back then, especially compared to fucking old Warhammer stuff that was like trash,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just putting it like...
Bandai's always been way ahead of the curve.
Yeah, all those Gunpla kits just like click together. That was so easy.
Again, I wish Bandai would... I don't know. They need to team with somebody who writes rules better than Games Workshop. And I love a game where they could use models and they could do a smaller scale and they could do mecha because... Bandai has molding and all that shit on lock way more than GW does. And GW, I think, is the best in the normal plastic hobby game.
I always wanted them to make a game that was like 144 scale.
Yeah.
Like that size. What was it? The
high
master
grades.
grade?
High grades.
High grades. That's
master
what
grades
it was.
are 100.
Oh my God. Can you imagine like a 4x8 table with just like a ton of high grades? That'd be awesome.
It'd be cool as just a squad game, where you do like 1 to 3 models, and it's way more complicated about how it works. I mean, that could be fun for sure.
Or you could have one like super big one, and then just a couple small ones, kind of like BattleTech style.
Yeah,
where you had those like giant behemoth units.
BattleTech, yeah, it makes me sad that there aren't a lot of good mecha game rules sets. Like I hear good things about, what the hell is that? The Titanicus game, Adeptus Titanicus or whatever.
Oh yeah.
From Games Workshop, but you got to want that specific aesthetic and style.
Yep.
And that's not really what I want. Damn it, I'm a weeb and I want my anime style stuff. So, they haven't even added like, Tau stuff in there, so you can't even approximate.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of a bummer. Like it's just stupid.
I'll take a re-release of Battlefleet Gothic at this point.
What the hell are those things called? Not Titans.
Knights.
Yeah, Knights.
They're Titans. They're Knight Titans.
Yeah,
but yeah, same idea. I would love to see a good mecha game. It just, I don't know. If someone knows about rules out there, hey, let us know. But I just don't. I'm not aware of any other besides BattleTech. And BattleTech's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna shit on BattleTech. It's a very specific thing with a very specific gameplay style.
Very small models,
and it's got very old rules. They're just not very streamlined.
I want something big in Warhammer size where I could get giant ass models.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Something that's with variation of the models where your smallest stuff might be, BattleTech size, but then your big stuff is.
Well, I was just thinking
Knight
like
size,
basically my Tau stuff. Like a Riptide is probably 10 inches tall, 8 to 10 inches tall, and then you have like Fire Warriors that are like an inch tall.
Yeah, same idea. Anyway, I'll stop pontificating about it. Just someone make it happen, please. I would, but I don't got those kind of connections. All right. Last thing I got here, and I don't know whether to shill this or not because the cause is good, but the platform is awful.
Trash.
So, Macross mechanical designer Kazutaka has lost his wife, and he was hospitalized because there was a fire in his house. And there's a GoFundMe that's been launched now. It's a good cause, so I think it's a good thing to donate to help the guy out. But
odds are GoFundMe won't embezzle his money.
I'm hoping this cause they won't embezzle his money, but
they're under investigation really hard.
Yeah, the platform scares me a little bit. So anyway, I bring that up because if you're watching this timely, go check it out, and if you want to donate it up. All right, and that's all I got. That's all the news I got for
the
today.
News is over. Time for this week's episodes. And since Demon Slayer is over,
I know.
Episodes.
Bullshit. I wanted a little bit more epilogue. Damn it.
We did catch up on Lupin though, so that fills in the gap.
Yeah, so why don't you talk about Attack on Titan, because I just completely spaced it, so we'll catch up next week.
I mean, maybe I'm an idiot, but I cannot see how after this episode, I can't think of a satisfying conclusion, at all. I think there's nothing but disappointment.
I haven't read the manga, and I've heard the conclusion wasn't great, but I don't trust anything I hear because who knows?
Well, it's what do you want? You know what I mean? It's both sides are technically not correct. It's very, and there's no real way they can live peaceably.
Yeah, it's cop out or destruction, and neither one of those is satisfying.
I would rather watch Eren just Godzilla the rest of the Earth and be done with it, because that's a pretty fun ending.
That'd be entertaining.
But I feel like they're gonna have the old school Expedition Corps. That's what they call it.
The Scout Corps.
Scout Corps. That's what it was. I think they're gonna go to try to stop Eren, and that's just why do I even care? I mean, stop him from what? All those assholes were basically trying to wipe your island out. You, as a race of people, want to live.
Maybe you let him wipe out just Marley, and then you stop. Maybe
I don't
that's
know.
the solution.
I don't know.
It's not a solution. Genocide is never.
But
really a
then,
solution.
if the Titans still exist, there's always going to be that. You know what I mean? How do you get rid of the Titans without getting rid of?
I suppose that's the only satisfying.
Eldians, you know what I mean?
That's the only real satisfying ending. If somehow they could just figure out how to deal with, I don't know, the weird millipede monster that created Titans in the first place.
Whatever the fuck that was. Yeah, it was weird bone amoeba
parasite.
thing.
I don't know.
It was a
creepy.
weird parasite. It looked like something you'd see under a microscope, which was kind of cool actually. I can't think. Usually I could figure out 3 to 5 satisfying conclusions, but I got mostly nothing from this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Again, I haven't watched this episode, and I'm sure when I do, I'll just have the same feeling you do.
Oh, fucking what's his face is a main character now. What the hell's her name? That fucking character I hate.
Oh,
starts with a G.
You just completely wiped out my brain's ability to understand. It was the one that was with Falco.
Yes.
And who shot Potato Chan.
Yes.
Which I will never forgive her for.
And then blew Eren's head off, and then
yeah.
Somehow she's a central character now.
No forgiveness.
I hate it from her.
I get why she's there, but yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of that character at all.
Gabby.
Thank
God. It's driving me nuts. I kept calling her Sasha last week. She's got
no,
3. She's got
definitely not Sasha.
She's got 3 names because they're they're undercover. So
whatever. Undercover.
Oh, and what's her face is back.
Yeah.
Freaking
Crystal Chan.
Yes, Crystal Chan. So, I mean, it was a good episode. Stuff happened. You could tell it's getting towards the end, but I just can't figure out how they're going to end it without me being angry. Annie. God, I'm so bad with names. It's watching too many shows.
Yeah, well, and these aren't even Japanese names. It's almost easy to remember those half the time.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway.
At any rate.
Let's move on to Lupin.
So, I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do.
So, Lupin. I like where this season's going.
I like the thread that goes through every episode.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're gonna weave the first part and second part together at the very end. I don't know that they are, but I get the feeling they might.
It seems like it, yeah.
Because the whole first half of the show is the whole Sherlock Holmes thing, which it's got episodes that have nothing really to do with that.
Yeah.
And the second one is what, Witch and Thief or whatever. And
it's his.
It's about Tomoe.
Yeah, his teacher.
Apparently
a lot of people's teacher.
Yeah, and it's Lupin, so they're always good about that. Like, she's not like, the woman who taught Lupin everything he knew. No. Like, one of his teachers, whatever.
Yeah, it was like his sensei, whatever.
At some point, yeah. I mean, they're good about being cagey.
But she was
with
like
that.
a private teacher to like various people throughout, and they keep popping up in the stories.
It taught them all sorts of thievery and deception and other
good
things.
life lessons
and life skills in general. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting the way they do
how not
that.
to get raped by thugs.
Which is a good one.
That's usually a good one.
Which are useful skills. But the whole thing has been like a through thread with Tomoe, and I like the twist with the flower girl. That was cool.
Yes.
There's enough intrigue there to really keep it going, and it's Lupin, so it's always entertaining. And I like how they do episodes that are focused around all sorts of different characters. Because Lupin, you don't have a ton of characters you need to focus on, but
yeah, it's like 4.
They did a Jigen episode, they did a Goemon episode. Great, they're always going to do that. You had like a Zenigata episode, but then you had Zenigata's like acolytes or whatever, just them really in an episode.
His like underlings,
and it was just like a detective episode, and it worked. It was a good episode.
Yeah,
I like that.
I don't know if they're spin-off worthy, but they're close.
Yeah, I don't know either. Them with Zenigata is obviously spin-off worthy, but
they've never done that, which is kind of interesting.
Not
probably
that they need a spin-off.
Probably because Zenigata is so obsessed, like he can never do anything but go after Lupin. But
yeah, of course, that's his jam. That's what he does.
I can't believe they've employed him that long. They actually make jokes about that.
They do, but
episodes.
Then there's been times over the years, which who knows? It works on like Simpsons logic, or James Bond logic in some cases, where it's like, whatever.
Let him ride.
What's the timeline really like? Who knows? But there's a lot of times over the years where they put other people on it, and he is the only one who could even remotely deal with Lupin at all.
Oh yeah, everybody else gets like completely housed all the time.
It is what it is, and plus, I don't know, there's mutual respect there, which helps. Plus, he's not an asshole about it most of the time, which also helps.
And how often does Lupin even steal anything anymore?
Not for long, because Fujiko is always taking it.
It's like anyway. It's always like it just turns into some other adventure. Like the stealing is never like the big part of the episode.
But yeah, this week's was it was just the second part, right? Because we watched a couple of them. Yeah, it was just the second part of the whatever the heck that thing was called. I can't remember what the episodes were called. It was like Fakes Attract Thieves or something. Or
That's what it was. Fakes Attract Thieves.
It was good because it wrapped up that kind of Zenigata story arc. It wrapped up that, framing him for murder story arc. And it started to reveal some more of that overall plot for the second half of the season through thread. And then it looks like next week is going to be more kind of just side episode that doesn't have much to do with anything. So
I thought there was a part 3 to that next week.
There isn't. I don't think so.
Huh. It seems like there should be.
Yeah,
maybe
it
they're
does.
skipping. Usually they'll skip and like.
Yeah, it was hard to say because it seemed like something that needed part 3, but they're kind of just. The preview for the next week looked like it was unrelated, and then it'll probably go back to that in another couple episodes. Not directly in the timeline, but because the girl escaped, and then it was like, oh, you figure they're gonna follow that up, but that's like you just said, it's gonna wait a couple episodes. I think.
That makes sense.
Because they're getting close, and I don't know if it's 24 or 26 for this season, not including episode 0.
They barely ever do 26 anymore.
I'm going to guess it's 24 with episode 0.
Back in my day,
it's Lupin,
every series was 26.
It doesn't follow any rules. Yeah, it follows its own rules. Yeah, unless they were 52. Even the ones that shouldn't be, like Eureka 7. Someone please cut down Eureka 7 to 26 episodes, because it'll be one of the best mecha anime I've seen in a long time.
That's one of those things I'd do if I was independently wealthy. I'd just go back and edit everything, all those series down.
Because there were some of those series where it was just like, nothing freaking happens. Oh my God.
I don't understand even the second half of Eureka 7. It was like it made money. We have to do more. It tied it up. Like, it was pointless. It's like, why does Eureka hate him again? Like, what's going on? None of this makes any fucking sense.
I'm not going to go back in time to Eureka 7. Maybe someday we'll review it. We won't because we're not rewatching it.
Oh, God, no.
Anyway. Yeah, unless someone does the Kai version, then I'm interested.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to do that with, like, so many things.
So, anyway, that's the episodes we watched this week. Guess we can move on and talk about some WIZ.
Might as well.
WIZ. So Wizard City. So Adventure Time ended a while ago, and I know people have feelings about CalArt style stuff because of, series in the past 5 years that have been absolute trash.
It was the original.
Adventure Time was one of the originals that did that, and I don't care what anybody says. I still like Adventure Time. Does it have elements that you could consider woke? Sure, but to me it was always well written enough that there was never a problem. It was actual, maybe it wasn't organic, but at least felt organic rather than kind of forced in there.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. If it's woke, it's stupid and poorly written.
It's poorly written. That's an element. So regardless, anyway, I just want to get that out of the way because I know people have feelings about this kind of stuff, and if they've never seen Adventure Time, I think they get the wrong idea sometimes. And maybe they have seen it and just don't like it. Hey, that's fine.
How is it woke? It's about like a super like rowdy teenage boy.
It's not, because the whole point was like
it's very much
you got to work your ass off
and does male things all the time,
and things won't work. It's like I said, it's not. But how people
I guess
get.
Princess Bubblegum's kind of gay, but she's bubblegum, so it doesn't matter.
Does it really matter with a vampire? Does that really matter?
Yeah, like, it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Regardless.
I think it got to the point where like things that were normal in movies like 20 years ago were like, oh God, people freak out about everything. Like, no, like that shit used to happen all the time. Not everything's woke. I know you got to rage about it, but
regardless, the series ended for no real reason. It was still getting good ratings at the time. Cartoon Network is just run by a psychopath.
Pendleton Ward?
Yeah, he was the guy who originally did it. Or it could have been Adam Muto because he kind of took over after.
No, but according to Pendleton Ward, like, he had a really, really hard... Like, they put up the original, like, short on YouTube.
Yep.
And it got, like, 10 billion views in the demographic they wanted in, like, very short time. So he took it to Nickelodeon, or Cartoon Network, sorry.
He may have taken it to Nickelodeon first, actually. But,
well, whatever.
Yeah.
But... Cartoon Network was just like, he had to like work really fucking hard to convince them because they just like didn't know what to do with it. I don't know.
Yeah, but after 6 seasons of data that it's good, but it's weird. You're not wrong. Like, executives are freaking
Cartoon Network.
They're really dumb.
Wanted their own SpongeBob.
Yes.
And that was not it.
I mean, it could have been. It got the ratings to be.
I don't know.
But
like, I remember
executives are psychos.
I remember going to conventions back when it was like the height of its popularity, and they like every single fucking person there was Finn. So
yes.
I mean, it was obviously popular. It made a ton of money in merchandising, got killer ratings forever, and they just retards are in charge of things. That's just the way it
pretty
is.
much. There's probably one executive that had a wild hair across their ass.
From the corner store to the federal government, retards are in charge of everything.
Yes. So anyway. After the show ended unceremoniously, I mean, not that the ending was bad. It's just that, it got dumped earlier than it should have been.
They did that with all those shows. Remember?
No, I know.
What was the one with the
regular show?
Yes, regular show. They just like shit out an entire season.
I mean, regular show.
Regular show needed like 3 episodes because they were all exactly the same.
Too many episodes were exactly the same. Great show, great characters.
Oh yeah, it was fun. Like, I enjoyed it, but it was just like, are you going to do that again?
I need the excellent hat. Okay. So Adventure Time ended. And then as, HBO Max are trying to pick things up and, pour through its proproperties of stuff that should fund.
As 3 companies ate up everything,
yeah.
HBO Max got a hold of it and ordered 4 movies.
They needed content, so they ordered 4 movies.
Didn't we do one of the other ones?
Probably. I don't know. We watched all 4 of them.
Yeah, but that was like before we were even doing this.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think the
Finn and Jake one was
the Marceline,
the last one. Marceline Bubblegum, I'm not sure we ever talked about.
I thought we did.
There was Marceline Bubblegum. There was the BMO one. BMO one may be my favorite because it's just kind of the most fun.
Yeah, it's like wacky BMO adventure.
Wacky BMO prequel adventure. The Marceline Bubblegum one, pretty good.
That was
probably
my
the
least
one
favorite, probably.
that's the one most people are going to consider the most woke. I just don't think it was. I don't care about woke. It just wasn't.
I just don't care.
It wasn't written as well. It wasn't as interesting.
And I don't care about Marceline.
It needed more Hunts and Abadir.
Yeah, it really did. I just don't care about like that backstory. It's not that interesting.
I agree. It just, yeah, it is the weakest. The Finn and Jake one.
Marceline's only an awesome character when she's doing stuff with Finn and Jake.
And Hunts and Abadir.
And Hunts and Abadir.
So, yeah, the Finn and Jake one was good. It provided good kind of tie up, because it's like the afterlife in between. It's the in-between lives before there's more reincarnations. Because, the end of the show gets in there with, the whole idea. And they hint at this throughout the show, so I'm sorry if this is a spoiler, but, Finn and Jake are kind of always around throughout history. Like
they're just reincarnated
keep showing up
forever, yeah.
Basically in a similar way.
And Finn always loses his right arm.
Yeah, Finn's never allowed to keep that arm. It's not possible.
Every incarnation has like a weird robot right arm.
Anyway, that was a good one. And a satisfying one. And probably the most emotional, of course. But then they did, and I'm glad they released them in this order. The last one they did is just another fun one. Friggin' Wizard City.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you don't know anything about Adventure Time, there's a character called Peppermint Butler. And you would think, Peppermint Butler, he's such a cute piece of candy.
Well, he's Princess Bubblegum's butler,
He's a butler.
So how could he be a bad guy?
He's cool. At some point during the series, he's like, I don't know, summoning demons multiple times. He's got upside down, like, goat's heads, like, pentagrams everywhere. Like,
he's extremely evil.
Dark arts.
Yes.
That Dark Arts episode
is
is
the
one of the
Dark
best.
Arts.
One of the best episodes, but
the little kids, yay, Dark Arts. God, too funny.
Yeah, Adventure Time's got some really funny episodes. So this one is it's about Peppermint Butler's nephew, which, spoiler, but it gets real pretty quickly, is not Peppermint Butler's nephew.
No.
Is Peppermint Butler just de-aged and
Peppermint Butler was being
retarded.
so evil that his punishment was that he got to be de-aged so he could like go through childhood again.
Yeah, Gumball Guardians don't play.
To be less evil.
So yeah, it's interesting. So he goes to Wizard City and goes to the wizard school, and there's this dark history of, oh my God, this evil wizard who destroyed everything, which is obviously Peppermint Butler, and everybody's terrified of Peppermint Butler. So there's that whole thread going on, and he
keeps having to try to pretend that he's not, Peppermint Butler.
Not actually Peppermint Butler. And occasionally Peppermint Butler's like soul kind of just pops out of his mouth
and tells him to, get off his
tells him
ass
to
and
do evil things
evil.
and stop being so useless, and he's got to be better because obviously Peppermint Butler wants to, get back to his former glory of superpowered evil, and not Peppermint Butler is I cannot remember what his name is. God, it was 3 weeks ago. What'd they name the kid?
I don't remember.
Doesn't matter. Immaterial. So we'll call him the kid. So Peppermint Kid was not actually his name. And I could have looked it up, but I didn't. So sorry about that.
No one cares.
Peppermint Kid.
If they care, they'll watch it.
He goes through it. That's right. He goes through his various Harry Potter-esque adventures going on here, because it is definitely cribbing a lot from Harry Potter.
Oh, definitely. Everybody's got to do like a wizard school episode
with the Voldemort stuff. You got and it makes sense. And Wizard City, if you ever watched Adventure Time, all the Wizard City stuff was always kind of fun. Just ridiculous wizards, Abracadaniel, who's completely useless,
Huntress Wizard,
all these ridiculous, silly-looking wizards. It also gives you an excuse to use Matt Milero's voice, because that guy's always funny. Master Shake and the Alchemist, if you're wondering. But anyway, the whole thing is obviously the kid figuring out, overcoming his evil past, coming into his own, and also having to overcome the dark plots going on because there's people there that worship Peppermint Butler and are super, super, super evil.
Yep.
So it's a good one. I don't know. I could say a bad thing about it. I really liked it.
It's got a good old school 80s cartoon message too.
It does. It really does.
You don't have to be evil. You can just be your own guy. Grow up the way you want.
Yeah, it does. And, it's not going to be easy. And you're going to have, some chutzpah to make it happen.
Friends, and his friends help him out. It's very standard good writing stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's very... Adventure Time was always good at that. It always had,
good window dressing to make it more interesting.
Yep.
But it was always very stock standard writing stuff.
Yep.
But stock standard in a good way. This shit is solid. This works. Use it.
Damn right.
But anyway, to go from I remember business, the business zombies, to this is just fascinating. So I don't know. One of these days,
from what I read, I read a whole interview with the fuck I just said his name.
Pendleton Ward.
Yes, God, I tell you, having a fever of 104 for like a week straight.
Yeah, cooked a lot of brain cells.
Destroyed my fucking brain.
You don't get those back, by the way.
Pendleton Ward was saying that once they got into like the existential shit, that's like when they really, wanted to get rid of them. And then they replaced it with Uncle Grandpa, which is like
terrible.
The worst piece of shit ever.
Terrible.
Like if you're looking at like SpongeBob worked because it was written well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it had parent jokes.
At least the love of Steven Universe, I get. I'm not a big Steven Universe guy, but I get it. I get why people like that show.
Yeah.
Uncle Grandpa does not make sense to me at all.
No, it was just trash. Whoever wrote it didn't understand that like SpongeBob makes sense in its own universe. You know what I mean?
I want more Flapjack.
Flapjack was too disturbing.
You couldn't do it anymore.
But it's like if you think Zim was bad for being too disturbing for like that demographic, fucking Flapjack was
Zim plus like the first season of Ren and Stimpy disturbing.
Yes. I don't know who the hell signed off on Ren and Stimpy, but
anyway, look, if you got HBO Max and you're looking for something to watch, I would say check it out. Even if you haven't watched Adventure Time, you won't get as much out of it, but it's a good, solid story. It explains itself well enough.
They're fairly standalone.
Yeah, you could check them. I would check out the BMO one first because the BMO one is kind of just straight adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Or just go watch the damn show. I don't know where it's available at. Probably, hopefully HBO Max. I would think so, but it might be on Hulu or who knows. Rights for things are all over the place.
I know it was on Hulu.
Yeah,
because I remember watching it.
Venture was on Hulu too. It might still be on Hulu. Well, actually, never mind. Scratch that. Watch Venture Brothers first, then come back and watch Venture Time. I like them both not quite equally. I think I like Venture a little more, but that's just because it's
Venture gets deep, man.
A little shorter, a little more adult, and a little more compact, a little more boutique. Anyway, I could go off on Venture all day, and someday we will.
And I'm always proud of myself when they make like a Wicked Dank reference, and I understand it because I'm
hell
old.
yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on to my shorter side, our shorter side. I'm talking about Reach here. So if you remember, most people probably don't know the books, but remember a couple years ago, these movies came out. Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise, and kind of laughable, man.
Yeah,
like laughable. Supposed to be this big giant badass, this big lumbering Hulk of a badass, and it's Tom Cruise. Sorry, Tom Cruise. When you're good, but it was miscast from the beginning. And
the guy in the books is like 6'5", and an enormous beast.
It should not be. It's just one of those things too that adapts way better to a TV show because it has room to breathe. And when it's based on books, like in detective kind of books, I mean, let's be clear. Jack Reacher is Arthur Conan Doyle's creation, Sherlock Holmes, and Conan himself.
Yes.
Kind of put together into one character.
It's barbarian. I don't know.
It's barbarian Sherlock Holmes.
Basically.
Like if Sherlock Holmes was 6'5" and jacked.
Barbarian investigator.
and a super murderer, right? Like even more so than he is in the Guy Ritchie movies, which I like. I don't care what anybody says. And I'm actually looking forward to the third one whenever it decides to come out.
God, I forgot that even existed.
I know.
You got to do 3 though.
Yeah, you got.
Well, they went off the falls.
Yeah, you got to do the post.
I need Sherlock Holmes
Moriarty
Returns
stuff.
Stat.
Yeah. Anyway, I cannot believe that Amazon could. And granted, I'm sure they were made by completely different studios, and I know how this works. Where sometimes it's funded by, and sometimes it's not. But
I can't believe Amazon even paid any kind of money for it.
I can't believe Amazon could have this show as an original, and also have that hyper trash pile that is the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. We was hobbits. The show. No, it's garbage.
God. The more you read into it, the more worse it gets.
But Reacher is freaking amazing. So, look, I'm just going to say, we're not going to talk about it too much because it is way outside the wheelhouse of this podcast. But
we only mentioned it because we didn't watch Dragon's Blood because we were finishing
It's true. And it got finished for a reason. For the love of God, if you have any interest in that kind of show,
If you want 8 episodes of like a top tier 80s action movie,
plus detective show,
go watch that.
watch it. It's a good damn show. It's a really good damn show.
If you took a movie
highly
as
recommend
good
it.
as Predator and did it 8 times, that would be it.
Don't oversell it a little too much, but
Pretty goddamn good.
it's pretty damn
It has
close.
everything that makes Predator the best
I'd
movie
say
ever.
Commando, but it's like 8 Commandos.
You're probably right. Now that I think about it, it's probably 8 Commandos.
Anyway, it's excellent. It's really good.
It has 2 M16s.
The dude they got to play, I don't know, the dude they got to play Reacher, he's not as wide as Arnold, but he's definitely taller, and he may have bigger biceps,
Fucking jacked.
which is damn near impossible.
That motherfucker's juiced.
Anyway, check it out. It's excellent.
Extremely highly recommended.
Not animated in any way, but I don't care.
But we felt we had to mention it.
You got to mention it. Check it out. Anyway, we'll move on from that to something that's a disappointing sequel.
Yes and no.
Not terrible, but not great. That is MD Geist Death Force.
It's basically a direct continuation of the original MD Geist movie.
Yeah, they don't say how long it's been, but it's one of those things that takes place like 6 months after to 2 years
like
after.
a few years.
It's close,
whatever.
right?
Because what's her face has amnesia, and
Yeah, so the girl from the last one. Yeah, she has amnesia. Of course, she has amnesia because it's anime, and everybody, somebody's got to have amnesia.
I remember when we were watching, I'm like, gee, I wonder if she has amnesia. Like,
Of course. And, the big thing about Death Force is, one, you get to see the fallout of unleashing all the stuff at the end of MD Geist, all the robots. And 2, you get to find out who MD-01 is, because of course you had to when he was MD-02.
they did a really good job of like making sure you noticed his dog tag, whereas MD-01
They did.
too.
So
I'm like, I wonder who MD-01 is.
I'm going to explain the plot to this in about a minute. And by a minute, I mean like 30 seconds, because there's nothing to it. The Death Force is killing everybody. MD-01 is a bit of a tyrant, but he's trying to save humanity. And Geist is a complete fucking psychopath who just wants to fight forever. And he really feels the need to kill MD-01 as well. So
MD-01 has like a real hard-on to kill Geist too. So.
as well, yeah. They both want to kill each other a lot. And there's a cyborg guy who's kind of part of the plot, but not much more than a plot device.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, and that's about it. There's not much to the plot of MD Geist 2 Death Force. Let's start with what you like about it, because there are things to like about this, and then we'll get into a lot of things to not like.
It has so much potential.
Yep.
Because I actually liked the story probably better than the first one. It had like a more clear-cut antagonist, and
Yep.
I mean, Geist is the antagonist, but whatever.
Yeah,
It
basically.
had a more clear-cut second antagonist.
Better motivation for
I don't
Geist.
even know how I describe
I
them.
think it's like better motivation for Geist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it makes a little more sense. The first one, you're like, what the fuck?
Because,
Okay.
MD-01 was kind of a failure. Like, the doctor, the scientist that made both of them, like, is talking about them. And he thinks that MD-01's kind of a failure because he's very vain. And he's like a glory hound, kind of. He's only saving all these people because he wants them to think he's like a god.
They don't really get into that, but he needs these treatments to survive.
like he can't live, and take all this damage without having to be. He needs these weird treatments and shit that the doctor gives him. Whereas in Geist is like just the perfect murder machine.
He's the
Shoot
perfect
him in
machine
the fucking
for war.
face. It doesn't matter.
Because he only cares about war. He only cares about battle. That's the only thing he cares about. That's the reason you figure out. That's the reason he unleashed the Death Force, as far as you can tell.
Because
Like,
he
a
just
little bit of
wants
revenge,
to
but
fight them.
He just wants to fight them and everything else. Because it starts out and he's fighting them, and which you get one of the best scenes where he's got like the 2 machine guns and he's just machine gunning away.
Oh God, he's like standing on top of a fucking whatever, like a burned out tank or something. There's something flying, and he's just got 2 machine guns.
I believe there's a clip in our opening if you watch the
Probably
video
yeah.
version.
It's one of my favorite scenes, and it's just like unlimited
Ammunition.
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 I know I can't even talk today. unlimited ammunition. It just goes like forever.
Good stuff.
Love it.
It also still has the same hyper-violence that the last
It
one
has a
had.
lot of cool death scenes.
Yes.
But what it doesn't have is
What?
any animation at all.
Okay.
It's
It's
like-
got animation.
It's like Ralph Bakshi's The Hobbit.
It's got a lot of still shots. It's got a lot of jilted animation.
It's got a lot of still shots where people are talking, but lips are not fucking moving.
At all. It's like, are they thinking in their head? Or it's hard to tell. Like, or are they just too lazy to animate the
But
lips?
all
I
the
think it's latter.
actual like art is really good, so it just bums you out. It's like, man, I want to see that thing move.
It was clear they did not have money.
Like none.
They ran out of money.
Like if we pooled our money, we could have funded it.
And I don't know if that's like, they had so much money to do 1 and 2, and they ran out. I have no idea what happened. But like the designs are still good. The designs are great. I love the designs of the new suits.
I like the designs almost better.
Yeah, I agree.
Geist armor has wings now.
Geist armor.
It's got winglings.
It's also nihilistic as all hell.
It's a really interesting story, I think, because they never, ever, ever, ever give Geist any kind of character arc. He's just pure that. He's just straight up fighting machine.
That's the only thing he wants to do ever.
Doesn't care about women. Doesn't care about money.
Is he even
doesn't
in
care
the
about anything.
You said he was the antagonist earlier. Is he even that, or is he just a plot device at this point?
He just exists.
Kind of
to do his
interesting
thing.
to kind of wrap a story around a plot device. Like, you know what I mean? Like the main character is a plot device. It's just,
Which is why the second one was kind of interesting, because like MD01. What the fuck was his name?
oh, I cannot remember his name.
It
doesn't matter. He's MD01.
MD01, the original. He's kind of more of a character than Geist is. They like at least give him a little bit of backstory. Like he's got like a tiny character arc, but I don't know. It's just a fascinating thing how he could like write a whole 2-movie thing about a guy that only like has no personality at all. He's just like a straight up murder machine. Krauser. I knew it was some like German style.
He's got
name.
some German name. Of
I mean,
course. Geist.
exactly.
Same idea.
I wonder what Krauser means. Geist means ghost, if I recall.
So I mean,
My German's a lot rusty.
it's interesting. Like if you don't watch the flavor text in the beginning and you think this is Earth, it's like the most nihilistic thing ever. Once you realize it's just some like
Shit planet.
chump ass backwater planet in the middle of nowhere, it's like, oh,
Whatever.
I mean, not that doesn't make it terrible.
Yeah, there's like
but
thousands of other planets that were colonized, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
it's just.
I
it's
mean, it
interesting.
matters, but not really.
Although there's a Statue of Liberty at some point, so who knows what the hell
That's
that's
just
supposed
fucking
to mean.
weird. It's like, is that like a Planet of the Apes reference? Like,
Yeah,
what the
is
fuck's
this like,
going
oh,
on?
this is really Earth, and that it was one of the thousands of planets colonized, and there's other ones out there? It doesn't make any damn sense. Don't worry about it. It's not that important. This is one of those things that really could use a remake. I'd love to see an MD Guy series.
And a really good writer that could like kind of
Yeah.
flush it out.
Oh, absolutely. Because this is the kind of thing where the universe is interesting enough, and you could give Geist some actual character without ruining him.
Yeah. Oh, also, the gang leader chick from the last movie that tried to like use her feminine wiles to like get Geist to do stuff for her and then got brutally rejected. She is now...
She's Krauser's girl, man.
She's Krauser's girl, man. She's got amnesia.
Yeah.
And Krauser likes booty for some reason. Which
That's
is
because he's not the
which
perfect
is
war
probably
machine.
why he's defective, right?
That's right. That's right.
Shame
Women
on him.
ruin everything, apparently. I guess
But
that's the
anyway,
message.
she's just there to freak out when she sees guys. Like just
Pretty much.
Just like a mental breakdown. Like, you got to kill that thing.
He's the worst. Yeah, and then there's the cyborg guy. I don't know. It's very simple. Look, I'm not going to not recommend it because, we recommended MD Geist so heavily. If you watch MD Geist, watch the second one. Just there's no reason not to. It's only like 40-something
I only
minutes.
recommend these because they're just fun.
Yeah.
They're just stupid
Agreed.
fun. And that's like what I used to like about anime back in the day. They would make these like shit OVAs for like $2. They were just fun to watch. Hyper violence, animated titties everywhere. It's a good
There
time.
was just
man.
cool stuff to it was visually appealing and the plot was simple or it didn't make any sense whatsoever, but you didn't even care.
Yeah,
there
it's
was some
just
cool
fun.
characters, some cool scenes. It was fun. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to recommend it regardless of all the problems with it because if you watch the first one, you may as well watch the damn second one.
You kind of have to.
And it's 40-ish minutes of your time. You certainly spend it in worse ways.
Absolutely.
Like watching even a single minute of whatever the hell that garbage Lord of the Rings series is.
Oh, you know what's interesting? I found out that they don't have the rights to Silmarillion.
No, they don't. That's why it's garbage.
They have the rights to basically...
They have the rights to the appendices in the Lord of the Rings that talk about the Second Age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we won't get into that. Other people, go... Honestly, I'm just going to say right now, go watch Just Some Guy and all this tearing apart he's done to that series. You're not going to get a better tear down of that.
He gets so deep. He knows more about the lore of Lord of the Rings than he's forgotten more than I've ever known. So
he knows more about the Lord of the Rings than I know mobile suits, so that's a problem.
Impressive.
That's a problem.
At any rate, short episode today.
Yeah, a little short. We'll come back strong next week. We got
we're gonna come back hard.
we got Dota 2. Dota 2. It's not really Dota 2. Whatever. Dota second season to check out, which I'm very interested in because they left it in an interesting spot last time.
I'm stoked, man.
And we'll have to see what we do for a main review. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not decided yet.
Oh well.
Get frisky with it.
You'll find out. Anyway, have a lovely week. Catch you next time.
Peace.
Well, that's all for today, everyone. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning into another episode of the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour. Please remember to like and subscribe, and may your entertainment be always, well, entertaining.